Show me everything.
255 here, what up, what up? And today I want to talk about the top 5 or maybe more reveals I would like to see in EVO August 22. In case you don't know or you didn't see the thumbnail, the following games will be at EVO in August: Street Fighter V, Guilty Gear Strive, Mortal Kombat 11, Tekken 7, King of Fighters 15, Melty Blood, Dragon Ball FighterZ, Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, and Skullgirls. Pretty good lineup in my opinion. The way the selection's going to start, the reason why they couldn't give us a schedule is because they're actually doing it by who registers the most for the game. So the game that's least registered for, or the least amount of players registered for, is going to be first, and the game that's going to be registered for the most will be last. I'm hoping that might be Dragon Ball FighterZ because it deserves that spot, or maybe it'll be King of Fighters, I'm not sure. So I want to cover the top reveals that'll be coming out during EVO. And I kind of did this looking at one of the things I kept into consideration when thinking about reveals was the date and how long the game had been out. And so that's why it's 7 instead of 9. So for example, Street Fighter V, by that time they would have released the new Darkstalkers game, probably in hopes of giving people something to do. So that makes it less likely that they may add anything to Street Fighter V DLC wise. The fact that Capcom only had a 40-second trailer does not, the fact that they couldn't show any gameplay does not say that this game is going to be done by February 23rd. I think if all they had to show us at that time was a 40-second reveal, I'm willing to bet money that if they release it on February 23rd, it's going to be a problem. But that being said, if Capcom is depending on people to play that game, maybe they're not, and that's why they're doing the Darkstalkers release. If Capcom is depending on them, by them I mean Street Fighter V, to keep people occupied, it's going to need some more DLC and some more stages to keep the game going and alive, because at this point this game is getting pretty old, and you've already revealed the trailer, so I'm not expecting anything from Street Fighter. So number 1, and not in any specific order, just number 1 as this is the first one I'm going over, Guilty Gear Strive could use some DLC and some new characters. If they're thinking about broadening their gamers and adding more people to buy this game, it might not hurt for Arc System to have some guest characters in that game that will broaden the appeal instead of just keeping it to the Guilty Gear community. I think the game has a lot of potential, but as far as drawing in a casual audience and bringing in more, it needs something else. But I think that it's safe to say that at EVO we might expect to see Guilty Gear Strive, maybe with the next character, and maybe some Season 2 DLC, story, and obviously more stages, as they've already announced that map. 2. Tekken 7 has been out since March of 2015, and this late in the game cycle, I don't know how much more DLC you can add to the game. It's kind of in a situation where Street Fighter is, but if, same thing I said about Street Fighter, if Tekken 8 is a far off, then they'll probably have to add some DLC. Maybe it's not likely. Maybe they'll show some screenshots, but it's definitely at its end when you'll get to see a lot of some of the best gameplay. But when people know that the old game is going out and the new game is coming in, it automatically takes away interest from that old game a lot of the times, unless you plan on sticking with it regardless. King of Fighters 15 has a lot of DLC coming for number 3, and I'm pretty sure that we'll probably see some reveals on EVO. I can't imagine that not being the case. Now, the bigger elephant in the room number 4 is Melty Blood. Melty Blood, man, Melty Blood needs a lot of DLC. If Guilty Gear is worried about bringing a casual audience, Melty Blood has this problem times 10. And the current character roster for such a difficult game is not going to do it. I mean, because Melty Blood's a game where you really have to invest. You can't. You can play Melty Blood casually, but you really can't play Melty Blood casually because the people you're going to run into in the online community at this point, yes, they're called casuals, but they've played so many games that it's not going to feel casual for a casual player, if that makes sense. So at this point, Melty Blood's another one that might be able to. And they already brought one guest character in. I don't know how much it'll take me for the budget to bring in some more, but they definitely need some more characters. And most of the people who play fighting games, they like to see good male characters, and Melty Blood is lacking in that in the extreme. But definitely you can expect to see some more Melty Blood. Maybe they'll show us season 2, some more stages, but looking forward to that. All right, and now for my favorite, and I am not hiding this, number 4 is Dragon Ball FighterZ, and this topic needs a whole video in and of itself. But for Dragon Ball FighterZ, we definitely need some more season 4 DLC, and even more than DLC, I can wait. You gotta give us some stages. We've been playing on the same 6 or 7 stages forever. Anyway, I'll make a whole other video about that, but I think, of course, that or Dragon Ball FighterZ 2 being announced, I can't imagine that at this point, I'll be honest with you. I still think that's far off, but I'm going to have a separate video on that. Alright, number 5, Granblue Fantasy Versus. Granblue came out, as they talked about during the EVO demonstration and presentation that they did last night, at a time where the game couldn't grow. And the thing is, I really like Granblue Fantasy Versus. I still do to this day. It's just that there are not enough characters. You can play it somewhat casually. That I'll admit. It's not like Melty Blood. However, the thing with Granblue Fantasy Versus, their characters lack a lot of appeal. Obviously, they're trying to get people who's already interested into the Granblue Fantasy Saga to play the game, but as a fighting game, its mechanics are enjoyable. They are simple. It's easy to get into, but the big thing that sells fighting games, you all know this because look at the Mortal Kombat guest characters, or look at a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ. Characters sell games. So maybe for Granblue Fantasy Versus, they'll announce another season of DLC. It might revive the game, but at this point, it's become a very niche community. And for Skullgirls, come on, dog. It came out in 2012. Let's just be honest. They just need to make a brand new Skullgirls game. It's a new generation, a new console system. That's what they need to do in the story. What they're doing right now is not going to work. So now this is just my wish list. I may make a video of actual reveals that I expect to happen, but these are along the lines of what I would like to see in EVO. So leave your comments below. Let me know what reveals you would like to see during EVO. This is DeepMind 255 out. 1.